He was always going somewhere. If he didn't have a job, he'd be planning another trip. Not that he had any money, he just couldn't keep still. Even when he lived at a place for more than a few months, you could tell he'd keep on going soon enough. On to the next place. He never spent money on the movies or on fancy wristwatches. He didn't want to live by a schedule or be bogged down by his possessions. I guess he just wanted to be free.
I couldn't let go. Why had you told me, haunted me so? I'm sorry, baby, if I still cry. You made me happy, I don't know why. I'm sorry, baby, sorry, baby, I'm sorry, baby. If it made you cry.
I met him at a bar over a glass of whiskey. It was a lousy place with nothing more than a shelf of booze and a cash register to keep the place running. I guess we were there for a birthday party, but neither of us knew whose party it was. We were both invited by our mutual friend Steve. We talked for hours, mostly about mathematics. He liked to talk about mathematics because that's what he was good at. He explained that he was working on creating a device to insert into people's brains that would use an algorithm to solve world hunger. It was only after he described his far-fetched hypothesis of how the device would work that I realized he was pulling my leg. Later he told me that he thought it was preposterous to think that any one human being could be responsible for the fate of the entire human race by solving the so-called problems of humanity that are based on lofty ideals about what humanity even is. He didn't want to be responsible for anything more than his shirt, his trousers, and his shoes. Oh, and maybe the sunglasses he wore every day.
See if you're feeling lonely, I'll be your one and only. And if you think you're missing, baby, let me show you.
He lived his life in the moment, and with each passing moment, there was nothing to be gained and nothing to be lost. I longed to follow him to see where he was going next, but he told me it wouldn't be suitable for me. He claimed it would be a dangerous journey far away. He said he would be going on a sort of vision quest, the kind without any foreseeable length or ending. I was afraid I would never see him again.
I wanna know your name. You see, I feel your pain. You're driving me insane. Let me ease your pain. Baby, do you want to?
I didn't like the thought of never seeing him again. Actually, the thought of never seeing him again scared me to death. I had a bad feeling about it. But maybe I was just making a big deal for nothing. I'm sure I'll see him again someday, and then he can tell me all about his trip.
King Street, or dancing to the party beat. King Street, side by side we look so neat, dancing to the party beat, going down, daily to the busiest street in town. Come on over now, if you're feeling right, wear your cap or your hat, yeah, I beg you. You don't need no reservation. It's nighttime relaxation. And when the dance is through, we're gonna have a ball.
He's probably out wandering, seeing amazing things, if only in the corridors of his mind. He was blind, you see. He once told me how much losing his sight had influenced the way he perceived things. He said it made him feel extrasensory, as if all the changes in temperature and the varied textures of the ground beneath his feet were sending signals to guide him, not just for arriving at a particular destination, but to allow him to follow clues and learn to trust that the outcome would be for the best. He believed that the hills and the rivers could speak to him, and he listened very carefully to what they had to say. Act like a blind person. He walked assured, and he would blink and look you straight in the eye, but occasionally he'd slip and you'd know. Steve would always say to me, as if it were a miracle, "This man really can't see shit." and it was mesmerizing to watch his grace, his coordination. His eyes looked like they were peering deep into your hidden interior. We called him Blind Man Trevor. And the only time I ever truly questioned his blindness was after he left. I received a letter from a man who transcribed a message from Trevor. He said that not only he, but everyone he met had a blind spot. He said that with so much blindness whirling around in the world, it is amazing that so much happens without accidents. He went on by saying that in a sense, we should be thankful that this maze of accidentals hadn't let us die and that we were all held up by thin strings. He told me that I was beautiful, and that if he could have described me to anyone, he would say I look the same as the sun, immensely bright. This made me weep. Then he told me that for the entire time he had known me, he had actually lied about his blindness. After that letter, I really wasn't sure what to believe. The letter was signed by someone named Birdman. There was no return address, and it included a map of San Francisco. I looked carefully at the map for a long time, wondering why it was sent. Finally, I noticed that the name of the beach was scratched out, where Golden Gate Park met the Pacific Ocean. I had been there as a child, and I knew that the name of the beach was Ocean Beach. I just had no idea why those words were scratched off of the map.